I am now proud and happy to welcome Tawakkol Karman, one of the few women Nobel Peace Laureates. She is presently, of course, very sad and angry about the situation in her own country, Yemen, and we look forward to listening to her tonight. Tawakkol Karman, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. I will start my speech first on saying, Guten Abend. And also to quote the German President Joachim Gauck, when he said, Worte statt Waffen. Everybody here, my sisters, my brothers, I'm so proud to be with you. Allow me to express my pleasure for being here in this important conference that defends life against arms, wars, and death. The worst thing that could happen when someone, somewhere in this world, find a bullet but don't find a piece of bread. Look around you. Hundreds of thousands of people at different parts of the world. They left their jobs, hobbies, and study, and became soldiers in a meaningless wars. This, of course, makes the world less safe. A place which is congested with arms will not absolutely safe. All of us know that the world today is facing huge conflict, huge complicated problems. And most featured one is failure in all the aspects of the development. No doubt, such a consecutive failures have contributed in increasing levels of political instabilities, wars, and armed conflict. There is obvious link between increasing military expenses and declining education, health, housing, and investment, as well as provision of more jobs. Countries that give priority to armament fails often on making sustainable development. According to the estimation made by specialized group in monitoring arming phenomena, they said that annually spent on arms deals through what claimed to be legal, what they call it, legal means, is about $2 trillion, and the annually spent on illegal trade of arms worth about $60 billion. Oh my God. 50 or 25% of this amount of money is sufficient to eliminate hunger from the world. 50% or 25% of this amount of money is sufficient to build international sustainable peace and to illuminate all the reasons of the crises and also to prevent them. Furthermore, this money is sufficient to implement all the programs that we need to protect our planet, to protect our environment, and to protect our climate. My sisters and brothers, what awaits for all of us today is a great humanistic struggle for a constructive and more equitable, positive globalization. Globalization whose resources would be shared by everyone in the world. A positive globalization where its fruitful products are enjoyed by each one and fairly shared. Not a passive globalization that is monopolized by some rich countries, by some rich companies, and by some rich individuals. Not a passive globalization that creates devastating consequences, impact to poor. The poor who are increasing daily. Not a passive globalization that attacks our earth, safety, and future. This goal is crucial one to ensure our common international peace and safety of our common future. It isn't a matter of luxurious additional measures. One day, soon to come, humanity, with all its states, nations, with all its diversity, background, will be forced to do so. Otherwise, the door will be widely open to the hell. Dear everyone, dear my sisters and brothers, I can say that all countries have the right, or some rights, let's say, to purchase an adequate quantities of weapons to defend on their security and sovereignty. And I am not now, and put line under now, I'm not now calling for disarmament here or for closing down weapons factories once and for all. Such demand, although it's illogical for me, but it might look naive for some people. However, I certainly call for combating illegal trade of arms. I certainly call for combating illegal trade of arms as first step. Then armament in general should be minimized in a way that ends arms race. I also certainly call for moving forward in disarmament of nuclear arms. I also certainly call for moving forward in disarmament of nuclear arms to save humanity and planet Earth from evils, risks, and consequences of such weapon that humanity cannot afford to tolerate. Dears, conducting a comprehensive revision to certain countries and communities' policies is crucial and necessary issue. Again, conducting a comprehensive revision to certain countries and communities' policies is crucial and necessary issue. Otherwise, nothing will remain for development or to combat poverty, starvation, or disease. We have to choose between two paths. We have to choose between two paths. More expenditure for wars and weapons, or more expenditure for development and peace. Only us who will decide. Only us who will choose. Look, now, all of us knows that the Cold War has ended before 16 years ago. Yet, there are still some people, some things, they think in the same old logic. Weapons comes first and weapons comes foremost. What a stupid thing. And then, after that, they started thinking about development, about medicine, about bread, about education, about arts. And it's unfortunate that poor countries think also on that thing. They adopt this formula. They care on purchasing weapons more than anything else, more than education, combating crimes, combating education drops out, for instance. My sisters and brothers and my fathers and mother, I want to say something very important for all the world, all the people who are struggling for their freedom and democracy and peace. The continuation of superpowers, particularly the US and Russia, and other big countries concerned with safeguarding international peace, in selling weapons to tyrannies and despotism states is a serious mistake. Continuation of superpowers, particularly US and Russia, and other big countries who said that they are concerned with the safeguarding the peace around the world, in selling weapons to the tyrannies, to the despotism states, is a serious mistake. Where most of these regimes fail to honor the their development responsibilities, also they are corrupt regimes. Cooperating with such regime, considering as partnering with them in crimes of violation that are inflicted on their peoples and in stealing their wealth. This is why. Growth in arms trade indicate that the manufacturer and traders of arms have intention to sustain conflict without final solution. This is the fact. This is the fortunate fact that the growth in arms trade indicate that the manufacturers and traders of arms have intention to sustain armed conflict without final solution. And the sad thing is, nothing is worse than the states behaving like greedy arms dealers. Whose concern is just to accumulate money. Success in arms trade and failure in development front increase the risks that threaten international peace and security. All of us should know that, and all of us know that, not should, all of us know that. That success in arms trade and failure in development front increases the risks that threaten international peace and security, particularly among fragile states of the third world countries, and it increases influence of armed groups that strive to control and dominate according to their own self-interests. So, if we want more stable and more just world, we have to move in the path of development and to combating poverty, to combating corruption, to combating unemployment, and to combating crime. If we want a more stable and just world, we shouldn't allow arms dealers to decide our country, our current, and to decide our future. If we want to reach to stable and just world, we should stop them. We shouldn't allow the arms dealers to decide our path, our future, as this means more fighting, more poverty, more crimes, and more terrorism. We want to live in a peace, security, safety, dignity, and welfare. And such principles and values disappears with the arms. If we want a more stable and just world, we must achieve justice. No peace without justice. And you should know, peace within the nation, remember this, peace within the nation is no less urgent today than the peace between nations. You should know that the people in my country and the people in my region from which I came are terrorized today by bloody dictators and by the international power that back them. They are abused by terrorists, groups that misuse our faith. You should know that every dictator is a terrorist, and every terrorist is a dictator. And there will no path to the holy peace we aspire for until dictators are swept away from our region and terrorists are deprived from abusing our religion. Dear sisters and brothers, before 5 years, when we started our Arab Spring Revolution, great Arab Spring Revolution, we were dreaming for civil state, whereas our states were like military garrisons and regime's policy that time is to militarize our communities. And shrinking civil movement margin, whose concern is mainly development, freedom, justice, political rights, democracy, peace, and rule of law. We are still adhered on our dream, for which we have sacrificed a lot. Also, Arab people will continue their struggle and combat counter-revolution, the counter-revolution that all Arab region now, all Arab Spring countries suffering from, and which, unfortunately, have been aided by some of the international community. Our people will not, and I say this is from this a very important stage, our Arab people will not accept militarization against civil state. Our Arab people will not accept intimidation by terrorism and account of democracy, or arms against development. We will not accept. The only thing that we will accept is to reach to our goals: freedom, justice, equality, rule of law, and democracy. In my country, Yemen, our society was militarized, where purchasing a piece of weapons is much easier than purchasing computer or camera. The ousted President Ali Saleh regime failed to achieve development in my country. His continuous amendment to the Constitution to allow for longer period on power and for more power on money and for more power in all over the country. That led to wide protests that culminated by our great revolution, peaceful revolution on 11 February 2011, which is we call it Youth Peaceful Revolution. In this great peaceful revolution, Yemeni people decided to throw their weapons and to go to the street just with flower, just with singing, just with chanting for freedom and dignity and democracy. They died peacefully and they achieved the most important thing. the most important goal, the first goal of our peaceful revolution, which is forcing the ousted president to resign, and it was by our great peaceful revolution. And we won on that on 21st of November 2011, after 9 months on sleeping on the street for this great goal. But now we are suffering from war. After a great peaceful revolution, and after a great decision from people of Yemen to throw their weapons, to put it in their houses and to go peacefully. An armed society died in the street just peacefully. They didn't carry any guns with them. While it's like everyone owns more, like 3 pieces of weapons. They didn't use it. But suddenly the war happened. Why the war happened? Anyone who ask you why the war happened in Yemen? While the Yemeni people did a great peaceful revolution, and Yemeni people win Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, they win it because they make a great peaceful revolution. That was a great recognition of their great work and their great sacrifices. Why the war happened? It's an ugly counter-revolution. It's an ugly, bloody coup, led by the ousted president, Ali Saleh, led by the militia of al-Houthi. He used militia of al-Houthi to revenge against our peaceful revolution. It's unfortunately, with all this happened with the support of Iran in my country. This is the reality that you should know. That Yemeni people now, under the fire of war, because this war is revenge from the ousted president that we made revolution against him. And he used Iran and militia of al-Houthi to revenge against all of us. But Yemeni people refused that, and they are continuing their struggle against him. And as they win, when they topple him from the head of authority, we will win on the rest goals of our goals of the peaceful revolution, which again, democracy, freedom, dignity, rule of law, and equality. Yes, the Yemeni people need a great from you. Big greeting for them. The international community now shall help Yemenis in building genuine peace, leading to genuine development. And this couldn't be attained without dissolving and disarming the militia and all the armed actors, and restrict position of arms to the state. And there is another fact you should know. Why we stand against the ousted President Ali Saleh and also the militia of al-Houthi. Because they topple our republic as first. And another very important reason that our standing against the militia of al-Houthi is mainly attributed to the fact that they are an armed group that undermine states' sovereignty and practice terrorism against its opponents. You can imagine going into elections with the presence of armed group that adopt racial creed where it believes in the right of them as they call themselves as grandchildren of Prophet Muhammad, and they have the only right to rule the country. Now, and this is racism, they use racism against Yemeni, and we are against them because we are calling for equal citizenship. We are calling for to seize weapons to states. Finally, my sisters and brothers, how can we stop the war in Yemen? How can we reach to the sustainable peace in Yemen? We have to disarm militia and non-state group, and we shall ensure that armed position in states' hand only. And we shall pave the ground for free and fair elections following referendum in the constitution draft that Yemenis has already agreed upon through their National Dialogue Conference. And the Houthi militia has to transfer themselves to be political party, to use the political issues without violence. We need also to achieve transitional justice. We need to achieve national conciliation, to bring justice to victims and to ensure that such violation will not be repeated and will not adopt to reconstruction. We need to achieve reforms and economic growth, which is crucial for the success of political change. This is the voice of peace in Yemen and the voice of peace in all the people who live in Middle East. This is the voice of peace on people who suffer in Syria, in Libya, and in every country in this world. Thank you so much.